You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your number one source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean Johnson.
The AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AfterBuzz TV's Low Winter Sun After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Low Winter Sun After Show.
Feel that sexy Detroit groove.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Starting with a
That's how you start a Detroit show. It's how you start the Low Winter Sun After Show. Hey, everybody. We are here doing another Low Winter Sun After Show. This is episode 106, The Way Things Are. I am Matt Lieberman, and joining me on the panel, as always, is the fantastic and hilarious Miss Oriana Leo.
Hello there.
And the awesome and super talented Stef Z.
What's up?
And we have a very special guest with us this week. Sprague Grayden is on the show.
Woo!
Hi.
Maya, Maya, Maya.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. This is awesome to have you.
Oh, no, it's great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So let's jump right into the episode. So a lot of stuff happened. We got some big reveals on the Frank and Katya front. The case has now is progressed to kind of a tipping point as our criminal underworld side and our cop side start to blur in a big way, and I think it's going to all boil over starting next week. But I want to start talking about Frank and Katya. We open in this kind of weird quasi-dirty real-world house.
Loretta's lair.
Sasha.
Where cheap Eastern European prostitutes live their lives entirely on webcam, and it's kind of gross, and men watch them pee.
Yeah.
And then Frank finds Katya's webcam, and she wigs out.
Yeah.
And pretends not to hear him and shuts it down. And we're all like, what?
Which was actually, she kind of did it pretty well, though.
It was smooth.
He knew it was kind of messed up, but, he kind of was like, what happened? She kind of, not that she thought he would find her, but I feel like she was a little bit prepared. Maybe that's happened before.
Yeah, well, I'm sure she's had stalkers before.
Yeah.
I was definitely convinced that she didn't want to be found by Frank because of her safety.
Yeah.
At that moment.
Absolutely, me too.
Lies.
Well,
You'd never trust a hooker.
Well, but at the same time...
Or a cop.
But if you're living in that kind of environment, right? You have to think that they're watching you all the time, and they're not going to be happy if, some guy is hassling you who knows you personally on the webcam.
Not just that, but with Joe saying, if you ever speak to Frank...
Yeah.
I'll kill you.
Well, clearly there's something else going on that we figure out later. But if you think about it, if I was a hooker, and I'm not, but if I was a hooker and there was some connection with someone,
sure,
and they were trying to find me, I feel like I would try and get out of my situation. So it's very clear, as soon as that happened, I felt like it was very clear that there was.
So wait, if you were a hooker, you'd be a hooker with a heart of gold?
I do have a heart of gold.
Or would you just be a very careful hooker who made no attachments to anyone at all?
Yeah.
No, I think she did get attached to everyone and want to save them.
Well, here's a question.
Should I tell the universe that I know you
Yeah.
pretty well?
Just FYI, me and Sprague have been best friends for 7 years.
Yeah.
Real quick story. It started out, we met at Venice Beach. And she told me she wanted to adopt me.
I did.
She was like, I'm going to adopt you.
Were you that cute?
She was.
Adorable.
Yeah.
Well, what happened?
There's not a lot of cool chicks in LA. When you find a cool chick, you're like, nah, I'm gonna keep you.
Mine.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Let me feed you and clothe you and
brand you with
maybe
my initials.
That totally happened. So I was kind of stoked. And I was like, sweet. Met these 2 new girls. They're my crew. Little did I know that they were both actors. And it was pilot season. So when they said they were going to adopt me,
we met in May. It was December.
It was 2-3 weeks, and I was like, dude, what happened?
What happened to my adopted?
And then I they really adopted me. And then the papers went through, and I was adopted.
Yeah.
That's what
It
happened.
was a proud
Right.
day for all of us.
Yes.
I have a real quick question. Do you think that Katya ever expected Frank to find her?
I think she would. I mean, it's hard to.
No.
I think she thought he would look.
I mean, she had to assume he would look, but
Yes.
I think she was genuinely shocked
I
that
think
he
so,
found
too.
her.
I don't think so.
I'm not sure she thought that, and this is not like from insider perspective into the future of the show. Just, I'm actually not sure she thought that he could even conceive of her not being dead. I'm pretty sure she, after that moment with Joe and Windsor, that it was like, okay,
I'm dead.
Everyone
I'm
knows
dead.
I'm dead.
Everyone
I
knows
think
I'm
that's.
dead.
I don't know if she.
That's
thought
a
he
good
would look for
point.
her.
That is a good
Yeah.
point.
It's a very good point. But as we find out later, Katya is not even her real name, and Frank was a mark. He totally got suckered in by this fake love affair. He doesn't know a thing about her. Hooker. Let's just all look right into the camera.
Dirty
I
hooker.
refuse to put all the hookers down. I don't know. It just seems mean.
I'm just.
She's a working girl and she's a professional.
Okay. And she's very lovely.
And she's very good at her job.
She's good at
Right.
her job.
You know, is someone gonna get mad at us for being good hosts? No. If for some reason
Maybe.
they don't like the after show, yes, they do. That happens.
So I have
That
a
happens
question
all the time.
for you. When you're saying that Frank was a mark,
Yeah.
are we saying that Katya was her name allegedly being Katya? We don't even know what it is. Was that a setup from the get-go that he kind of fell in love with her and that was part of
Oh,
it?
we're
Do you know what
s-
I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're saying
How
it.
deep are we
Yeah.
going
Oh, we go-
here?
Here's-
I think
How
we're going
deep
to
is
Joe.
the
Here's
conspiracy?
where I think it is. I don't think that Joe and potentially Brendan named her Katya. I think that was the name she was working under at the time when they met her. Do I think that Joe potentially got her to seduce Frank in the first place? I'm leaning that way.
Okay.
You know, unless it was
But
Brendan.
something went wrong. I feel like there was a plan there for that all to happen, but something went wrong because I feel like the plan started with Joe and Brendan. And in that plan, clearly Brendan wouldn't be like, okay, and I'm going to wind up dead and you're going to kill me.
No, but what would Brendan get out of?
Fascinating.
What would Brendan get out of Frank being caught living this lie with this prostitute?
Well, but apparently the IA guy, Boyd, Brendan's partner was
Joe.
No. Before that, the other guy with Brendan wasn't that the guy that got killed first was also what's that person? An informant.
He was a CI.
So therefore, he probably told Brendan that there was something going on, that they were looking at Joe as well. So they decided then to pin it on Frank.
Interesting.
Oh, that's quite interesting.
Oh, and to muddy his jacket a little bit.
Yeah.
Have him be sleeping with a hooker,
Right.
and then kill Anton Bobek at the hooker's apartment, and that would totally frame him in a pretty convincing way. Wait a second. Wait a second. Stef Z, I think you just cracked something major.
It
All
just
coming
came
from
out.
the hooker with the heart of gold.
Aww.
Am I wrong,
This is.
Sprague?
I'm not gonna say anything, but you guys could have warned me that like you're really smart and plan things out ahead of time. I feel like I'm supposed to sit here like this.
No, we want you to
want
join
your-
us.
No, I don't.
But as
not
a
on
viewer,
storytelling stuff.
as a viewer though, like we had the pleasure of viewing tonight's episode with you.
Yeah.
So you get to
That was
watch it
awesome.
as a viewer and see what the viewer might think or put
I
together.
definitely know that when we were shooting it, and I could definitely feel it in the last couple episodes, that it's starting to completely come together and getting more and more and more intriguing. And I want to know people's motivations more and more and more. And I felt that when the scripts were coming, but I can't tell you. anything.
I know it's hard because but I feel like too, like even as much as in the beginning, the way you open this up, that things are getting blurry. I feel like they're getting blurry, but only because they're like focusing in on like you're at the doctor and it's like, is one better or two? One or two? So you're seeing better and better through the blur.
Totally.
So
Well, as we were saying last week, and I think that this episode kind of continues the streak of, there's so much to unpack from that pilot, and we're just getting little bits and pieces. little bits and pieces every week so that we know everything that's going on. We can see the entire playing field and every piece that's on it, so that when those pieces start to move, they can move in rapid succession from here to the end of the season.
Yeah.
And this very much felt like the ramp up to this big kind of explosion of activity. You know, we've got, and we'll talk about it more later, we've got Skilo's taking the international from Damon and Maya. We have Damon's face on a page Frank is looking at. Okay, like it's all coming together. Danny not really sure which way is up with all these facts, and now Frank's getting involved with her, but he totally blows it because he's a jerk who used her because he was feeling bad about himself.
Because he sleeps with hookers.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
He's got some
I love
problems.
that everyone has such an amazing crush on Athena, because I have a crush on Athena because she's such an amazing person, and I think that comes across in her character.
Totally does. And because she's beautiful, but she's also very smart. Like she's gonna
She's smart in real life. She speaks multiple languages, and she's very worldly and global, and she's an amazing person.
Yeah.
So if we brought her on
She's
the
gonna
show,
be the
would she
one
make us
that
look bad?
She made me look bad in coffee shops. It's just like, I'd be like, yeah, but she's my friend. Look, she's so cool.
That's she's figuring it out.
Yeah.
With that witness at the end, I know I'm jumping around a little bit, but she's gonna be the first one to figure it out, I think.
Oh, totally.
The one thing I wanted to mention before we move forward is that, Sprague, you mentioned something that I think the viewers could utilize in their sort of box of information to unpack this story, is that the whole season is about like 10 days in
That's
time.
definitely true. The whole season takes place, I mean, I don't want to give out too much information about what happens in the next couple episodes, but I think it's about a 2-week period.
So if you think about it, that this episode is the next day after our beloved Michael has just died unceremoniously in the back of the
R.I.P.
Challenger.
Michael.
Yes.
Yeah.
Up there.
James Harvey Ward was a fabulous guest last weekend.
We missed him very much when he was gone.
I'm sure. But knowing that, for me, changes it a little bit.
Yeah.
Knowing that this is a succession of days, that this amount of explosive activity of killing and robbing and has all just happened in just a matter of days. Everybody's raw.
Yeah.
No, definitely. And I think from here out, all the characters start to have a certain wear and tear about them that is physicalized in different ways.
If they didn't already.
If they didn't
'Cause
already.
Frank looked horrible in the
Everybody
beginning.
looks tired on this show, except for Athena, most of the time. I'm sorry.
Well, she's got a really nice condo. her
Yeah.
character. I mean, she sleeps really well.
Did you guys see the granite countertops?
Yeah, that's pretty
the
nice.
Keurig?
It had a backsplash.
Yeah.
Right?
Really.
For Detroit, I'm gonna say at least top 5% of apartments.
Probably higher.
There's some pretty badass lofts like that.
But is that important, do we think? The fact that, I mean, she's making the same salary as everyone else, and
No,
her,
she comes
like, does
from
she
a background.
come from, right, but
Yeah.
does that play? Like, what is that
I will
background?
say our production designer, Ruth, is a freaking genius. And every environment that you see, if you're intrigued in that way by that kind of art, if you go back and you look and you still the environment and really look around, like, say, Damon and Maya's house, really look at their neighborhood, really look at their their house, their bedroom, the international, the cops, and each place that you find everyone lives, it's incredibly diverse and incredibly specific to character.
Yeah.
And
like,
nothing is on accident.
absolutely nothing. And Ruth is literally a genius. I mean, our house that Damon and Maya live in and is in a very
Oh my God,
unique,
your
small-
bed. Your bed.
I know the bed. Okay, but it's in this weird like suburban cul-de-sac in the middle of insanity that's actually really beautiful and well kept, and this community sticks by each other, and they all take care of themselves and take care of each other really in that
Right.
small community, and all of Detroit knows that neighborhood for that reason. And it's very interesting that Damon and Maya have this life at the International, and they clearly like to have, you know, a wildness to everything they do, but there is also this sense of like stability and domesticity in their own world, and
Right.
that they protect each other. And Danny has everything in her apartment's very meticulous, and
It looks like an
clean,
OCD
and
kind of apartment.
It does.
Very high end, and everything's in its place.
Well,
Yeah.
she's book smart. Her type of intelligence, you know, it comes from a more affluent background. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not just book smart. it's the right books, the right teachers, the tutors. Like, to me, you know, she's going to law school. She's gonna get into the FBI. She got a leg up that most of the other characters on this show could only dream of. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like,
Yeah.
what Frank could be capable of if he had her resources growing
If he
up.
had parents.
If he had parents, period. You know, you wouldn't see him in that precinct. You'd see him get farther in society.
I think
Yeah, our bed had a mirrored headboard.
Yeah, I
Just
know.
saying.
It was
Just putting
it
out
was
there.
fantastic.
I
In like a
did.
red velvety.
It
I
was
totally
a circle.
didn't notice that.
I texted Ruth the
Oh
day
my
I got there,
God.
and I was like, I love Maya's bed. It's amazing.
It's beautiful,
That's
but it's
awesome.
also gross.
It's so awful.
It's so gross. It's great. I love that they have a gross bed. 'Cause it's
They have a
just-
hot bed.
Yeah, well, I mean, but it's just like, to me, them as characters, they buy into, or at least Damon does, and I think
No, Maya does for sure, I think.
Yeah, but they buy into kind of like
Suburban
stupid
power.
opulence. Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like empty Flash. You know, because damn it, life needs some excitement, and there just isn't enough to be had when every day is just kind of depressing.
Just ordering hits on Papa T and stuff, no big deal.
Yeah, you know, you just
Little
need
excitement.
something to break up
Well, I
the
think also
monotony.
that kind of stuff is also very new in
Yeah,
their world.
It's
kind
an
of like-
evolution of their relationship.
It looks like a Bonnie is to me. It comes off as a Bonnie and Clyde evolution of like we're badasses. We know it. We love each other. We're hot. Let's go have sex.
They're
Oh no, honestly, I don't know that. I don't feel that Damon thinks. He might think, but he doesn't know he's a badass. He comes off very confused or insecure about what he's doing. And Maya, you run the show.
Well,
Yeah.
you're telling
Like
him he's a
you
badass.
make the shots. Like you're way much more of a stronger character.
Oh
than
yeah,
him, I
well
believe.
you Lady Macbeth him hardcore. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't say like you're like evil or like a super mastermind, but you have the brain that he doesn't have. He's like a big bundle of wants. He wants things so badly.
There's a great saying where the man is the head of the relationship and the woman is the neck.
Yeah.
I feel like Maya knows that acutely.
That's 100% their relationship because she just points him where he needs to go and
Go.
she pushes
Yep.
it down. You know what I mean? She picks it up, she puts it down, she turns it whatever
She's
way.
running the show, but he's going to be the one in front.
And we're going to talk a lot more about
Yes.
that relationship because I find it so fascinating further on, but I just want to get through this case stuff.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I
It's
got
okay.
distracted with the bed.
No, you're allowed.
Yeah.
You're allowed. It's okay. So, we've got Danny.
Yeah.
And Frank stumbles in after he discovers that he's been had, and he is pissed drunk. He's been gone for a day and a half apparently.
Yeah.
I
mean, he went to
to
Chicago.
go find Katya.
Yeah.
Yeah, to find her. He comes back. He's drunk as hell, and damn it, she should not have let him in the door.
I was thinking it was like a
course she was
vampire. Like,
gonna.
don't invite him in and he won't come in. Like,
Yeah.
just say no. Just say no.
I know.
It's the
But,
nose.
it's that thing
nose.
where
Nose.
you like somebody so much, you want them so badly that you're trying to look past the fact that this isn't how you wanted it, and you're trying to reshape it and potentially make it that thing that you want. She wants the real kiss and the real affection that got rebuffed
Yeah,
a couple
and
days ago.
It's so funny too because we were literally just picking apart her place and how she's smart and how she's strong and all this stuff. But come Frank rolling up at the door,
Rookie
she
mistake.
yeah,
Tap,
totally
tap,
all
tap.
just like
was
it
a-
shows a weakness.
It really
in her,
does.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like too now that we see where it's going and what she's finding out at the end, like if she would have made a different choice and not slept with him, she'd wind up having a lot more power in the end.
Also, Joe clearly sees this weakness from the beginning.
Oh, yeah,
right?
he's gonna
Because
call him out.
he already has his target, his sights on her.
Yeah.
This whole plan that he has, the sociopath.
Well, let's talk about this discussion that they have, right? Where he's trying to make it sound like Frank is the one who's been leering at her. That he's into her. Everyone can see it, and this is just how cop relationships go. I think he very much wants them to hook up.
Yep. Well, he lines all the dominoes up so that they can fall the way he wants them to, and that's how he's been doing it the whole time. Don't you
He
think?
also might want them to hook up because then if she finds something out,
Of course.
he can play that card to pin more stuff on Frank.
maybe
So that she can't.
maybe Danny is the new Katya, like the new play.
Well,
No.
Katya was conscious of it. Like, I think he wants it to happen because it'll ultimately weaken Danny's case against them, and it'll make her emotional and more likely to make mistakes.
Right, and if something comes across where Joe brings some evidence on Frank and she's like, no, that can't be, he can be like, well, you're saying that because you like him. Like, you're clouded. You know what I mean? He's trying to discredit her opinion or her findings.
Yeah, he's trying to ruin her integrity because as of right now, she's the only member of the department with any integrity.
Right.
So
Pretty
far.
much.
But you know, we did see that Joe did something right by his daughter.
That's true.
And I was impressed by that like maybe he has a shred of goodness, even if it's just to show that his ex-wife that he can be a better dad. I don't know what the real motivation is.
Here's the thing, right? So he's a devout Catholic. He's a devout Catholic. He believes in heaven and hell. I think in his mind, he was condemned to hell probably a few years ago. There's no matter how much confession, it ain't gonna change it. He's already doomed.
He's one foot in.
Yeah, he's 1 foot in, and he's just waiting for the push all the way down. But his daughter still has a shot, and that moment where he confesses right there in the room, while it's self-effacing, and it's kind of a beautiful moment where he's like, I failed this child, but she's better than I will. She's a better person than I have ever been.
Yeah.
It's also a little manipulative. Both on the father and on the daughter, because she just hates his guts, and like to hear him say that, I'm wondering how calculated a move that was, or whether or not it was really a plea.
I'm sure it's calculated in some sense, in some way, shape, or form, but I feel like she believes it for a second.
Oh, totally.
She totally believes
it's
it.
Not
she
something...
has that moment, but I don't know, like, and then he's got the check ready, so he knew he knew he was manipulating a situation to get a result, and that he was going to get it.
Yeah. No, she's probably never heard anything that genuine sounding, that's positive, coming from his mouth, and she buys it because it's knocking himself down a peg too.
Right.
And
who wouldn't want to buy that? I mean, when your parent does something nice and wonderful for you, and you've only wanted their affection.
Totally.
Even if it's suspect, even if she's suspicious about the money.
Yeah.
She's still gonna take it.
No matter how much anger she has toward her father, she still wants his approval and his love, and that's really the main reason why she's been acting out, because he's been so absent and so selfish.
Right.
But it was like, that's the thing that I love about this show is no one is firmly black or white. Everyone is always in a shade of gray. We're always revealing new elements about people, and we can't entirely condemn Joe despite all of the damage that he's doing. He's not entirely a terrible person, but he is a survivor, and he's going to get out from under this weight that Brendan left him with, no matter what, no matter who has to go down for it.
Sure.
Because if he's going to hell, he's going to enjoy the life that he has left. All right, so we're going to move on to the Damon Maya aspect of the story, but real quick, I just want to talk about iTunes. Guys, thank you so much for keeping us in the top 10 downloads for the 6th week in a row. We love you guys. Yes. we love our listeners, we love our viewers. But one thing that you can do to help us continue to give you great shows and great guests like Sprague and Nicola and James, who 3 in 1 week. Come on.
We're amazing.
Yeah.
Let's face it.
Go team.
Back pat. One way to keep us in the top 10 and to keep us getting such great guests is to rate and comment on iTunes. If you can give us some 5-star ratings, it helps with our search engine optimization and other great computer things that I don't quite understand, but are very, very important.
If you rate us.
Miss Oriana Leo will be your friend on Twitter if you rate us. We also love tweets and YouTube comments, so keep them coming. We love having this conversation with you guys. We love this show, and we love talking to you about it. Okay.
Word.
Word.
I stole your word.
I like that you're taking word. I like it.
There's this whole side of the table is buddy, and I want to say word.
I'm your buddy, man.
You're my buddy?
I am.
She's gonna,
word.
She's gonna.
All right, word. That's right, Sprague. We're gonna.
Dude, they're fist
I know how to pull this stuff.
All right.
Cool.
Cool.
It's cool.
Cool.
Word.
All right. So, in the aftermath, settle. In the aftermath of the tragic shooting last week at the abandoned, right? Michael is dead.
So sad.
The body has been abandoned.
We don't even know where. Oh,
we all looked at
do know. The homeless lady said that there was found a body, right? Homeless lady. Did anyone catch that?
Mm-mm.
Danny Khalil had talked to a homeless lady.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
You're right.
crazy homeless lady saw some body or something.
Exactly. Okay. Damon's trying to clean out the car. He's like on the verge of tears, and I'm like, and you tell him that he can't be crying and he can't be sad, a little bit, that he has to.
It had to be done.
It had to be done. It's okay.
Yeah, I think
it's not your fault.
You know, Maya.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
Ooh, she doesn't say it's not your fault.
Right.
She says things had to be done, and she says, this is the position we're in now. And, you know, basically what he says to her is honestly what Maya says to him in about episode 3. We should have been 10 steps ahead.
Yeah.
And now he's realizing it. And, you know, Maya's not really one to wallow. She's going to survive. I mean, that's the biggest force in her life is survival. And she doesn't absolve him of blame in that conversation, at least I feel.
Yeah.
But she does say, this is what happened and we're moving on. But she also does recognize the fact that nobody else was stepping up to be the leader in these situations. And he did. And that does take, you know, it takes balls. And it took guts to do it. And
I felt like Damon was taking responsibility.
Yeah, he was.
But then Maya kind of comes back and says, no, it wasn't all you.
Yeah.
And
Right.
kind of reinforces it a little bit because I really feel like Maya is the neck. Maya's propping him
Right.
up as the one with the
Right.
complaining.
That's the thing.
one, the leader.
Right. She's saying it wasn't all you, but there isn't all. But she also doesn't look at him and go like, "No, this is totally not your fault. You're
Right.
fine."
No.
Because there is a part of it where she's like, "Yeah, now you're finally listening to me." You know.
Yeah.
I don't think that's my phone.
I don't think it is either.
I think it's Matt.
foul. Anyway, so that's what we say at work. when the
Matt
phone
just
rings.
got called out by our guest.
Party
Amazing.
foul. Anyway, it's cool. That's cool. That's what we say at work when a phone goes off. But yeah, it's a complicated cat and mouse game that they even have with each other. I do think that they're best friends, and that was a character choice.
Yeah.
But they are best friends that are in a completely new situation than anything they've been in before.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that part of what you were doing is kind of getting him back in the game, because if he's
Yes.
wallowing, he's not going to be able to act.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the situation that you're in is just so perilous that he needs to be able to jump at a moment's notice.
And there's, you know, in episode 5, there's a moment where Maya breaks down in the car very briefly when even, you know, Damon's not breaking down, and it's almost like she processed it in the car and processed what was going on, and he's processing it after the car. So it's watching how they both deal with those situations, I think, is pretty fascinating.
Which, I think it is fascinating in the sense where it's like you flip-flopped.
Yeah.
Because if you were both processing in the car, it could have been chaotic.
It would have been, yeah.
Or if you both didn't and afterwards, do you know what I mean? It was like he was strong when you were weak, and then when he's weak, you're strong. Which is kind of, you know, an awesome thing for a relationship.
What an amazing marriage.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
No.
You
There's lots of
slap
coke, there's
him,
lots of
he
sex
slaps
inside.
back.
Oh, yeah,
you
did you
yell
like
at
that
him.
scene?
Yeah, we
I
really
was
liked it.
shocked.
That was
So
fun, right?
freaking knock him out. I'm like,
Yeah.
you're slapping my best friend.
Yeah, but I slapped his ass back.
I know.
Well, here's a question. So, like, to me, it felt like a lived-in moment. Like this was not the first time he had gotten a little too rough.
I think that they have a physical relationship, especially sexually.
Yes.
Does Maya like
A blast.
it?
Huh?
Rough?
I think they both kind of like it rough.
Yeah.
I think they both. You know, one of our directors, the great Ernest Dickerson, who did our pilot and our second episode, when, you know, the pilot was one of those experiences that was just so incredible and so incredibly bonding, and the crew and the cast and everyone lived in the same hotel instead of separating.
Oh, wow.
And that was one of our producers' idea, Charles Carroll, who's a genius producer. So we would always meet in the bar after work. We'd always bond, and we became such a close-knit group. But one of the things Ernest said to us about the characters in the very beginning is that, here's the thing about Detroit. Everybody's hungry on some level for something. And respectfully, having lived there for, you know, a 4-month period of time, I do understand what he's saying. Detroit is a phenomenal place, and because people are hungry, they are creating amazing things there. Amazing restaurants, amazing art, just amazing communities. There's urban gardens popping up everywhere. But there's also that other side to it where it is truly what you see in the show. It is truly, when the characters are driving through areas that are completely abandoned, we didn't do that.
Yeah.
That's Detroit. And so I think with Damon and Maya, their hunger is never, at least for Maya, I can't really speak for Damon, but it's never truly satiated.
Yeah.
So it gets satiated through sex and through drugs and through drink, but not as much for them. They seem to have like kind of monitored their, they're in a weird place where they can kind of keep straight. But their relationship is about feeding that hunger in each other. So that's where a lot of that physicality, I believe, also comes from.
Yeah.
And that passion.
Totally.
Very well described.
Oh, good. Glad that made sense.
You're doing a fantastic job,
Yes.
Sprague.
Thank you, Steffi.
And you don't have lipstick on your teeth. You're all good.
That is good.
That was my job.
Billy Lush used to always tell me, it's right here. It's right here.
So Damon goes to see Skelos, and he lays everything out on the table, which
Yeah.
I did not expect.
I
didn't
see that
expect that
coming.
either.
That was a move. Granted, it didn't ultimately work out very well for him, but he's not dead yet.
But it was his only choice, really.
Yeah,
At that point.
it was his only play, but he handled it with a level of dignity.
I agree.
That
Yeah.
I did not expect from Damon, because I see him as more of a hothead,
He seems like he's maturing a little bit.
or at least he's been humbled by this experience.
By
Yeah,
by
absolutely.
Michael's death.
Yeah, absolutely. And Skelos basically says, "Look, I'm not going to take double taxes on the international. That's not enough. Like that might have worked. If I was still. The only reason why you're on 2 fees is because your father was so obedient.
Right.
But you're not your father. You're more like me. You're not as good as it is me, and I'm gonna show you why.
And not just that, but he mentions, you think I didn't know what you were up to all this time?
You
Of course
idiot.
I did.
Yeah.
And whether we believe Skelos or not, I believe Skelos.
I believe him when he showed up to the abandoned a few episodes ago. He was showing up to let him know, I know what's up. I know you're slanging in this place. It's probably mine. It went missing, and then all of a sudden you're starting a new business.
Yeah.
People are doing the drugs.
It's kind of interesting too, though, because it's like, before that, Reverend Lowdown, kind of like pulled a fast one on him, and then it ended in death. And then, they retaliate, and it ended in death. And now he's going to like the head dude, and they're like, it was so crazy to me that they were just sitting there and talking it out. Like his options weren't like, all right, I'm gonna take this, this, and this, which he winds up taking like material things, but it's like an eye for an eye, 2 people dead, and then it's like, okay, let's talk about it.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, right? There's a difference between taking money or taking drugs or even taking lives versus taking businesses. And I think that also kind of goes towards what you're saying about Detroit and being hungry. Something that you can build from, that can continue to produce over the years, that can continue to grow and spawn potentially more business.
Right. Well, there's a practicality to everything in Detroit.
Yeah.
Because it's a real life place. I mean, as there's all these other fabulous sides to it as well. But it is Detroit. The reality of it is, if you leave the Whole Foods, which is fantastic now that it's there. No, it's great, and it's really they're there as a community builder, and it's amazing, the stuff they do for the community. But you pull out of Whole Foods, which is in the Midtown area, which is where it's packed to 98%, because that's where everyone lives.
Sure.
And you drive 2 blocks down, and you're in the Cass Corridor.
Mm-hmm.
And the Cass Corridor is not
Where
Whole
you want to
Foods.
be.
No,
Tell
the Cass
us.
Corridor is, it's, the reality of it is it's completely abandoned, and it's where a lot of the criminal activity happens. It's where a lot of the flop houses happen. It's where a lot of the drugs are run. And that proximity is something that is incredibly hard to conceive until you're there.
Right.
And so it's just reality. So there is a practicality, like there's a pride point, but then it becomes, well, how do we function now? How do we move forward? And I think it's almost like the grown-up sitting down and being like, all right, kids,
Right.
you got
Yeah.
out of control.
Yeah.
You know?
And I kind of saw that too with like Skelos is like, Liz, you silly boys, like with your guns and stuff.
Yeah.
Let's sit down. Let's talk about this.
He's like, it was a bold move to meet me out in public. I respect that, so I'm not going to have you killed.
Right.
Instead, he's going to take your new business. I'm going to take your old business.
What was me about taking the old business, about taking the international? It
Intense.
seems more like the international is Maya's bar. It
Yeah.
used to be Maya and Sean's bar, and you don't see Reverend Lowdown's wife, significant other. You never see, like, and I feel like usually in lots of, like, drugs or mobs or whatever, like, it's usually, like, you don't mess with the family.
Yeah.
So it's very, like, for me, it was like, but technically you guys are a unit in a sense with this, and they're taking something that's technically yours and not Damon's, even though Damon was in charge of the other stuff, which to me was kind of like, why?
Here's something interesting with that, and this is kind of a question that I've had sort of about...
That means
Yeah.
Sprague is smiling.
Yeah. Well,
It's just a good question.
It's a good question. But here's the thing, right? So I've been wondering what Maya's relationship is with Skelos in the past beyond necessarily, through Damon. It seems like he's been kind of lurking around for a while. And if what you're saying kind of sparked to me, he's not necessarily punishing Damon. He punishes Damon by taking the abandon and giving it to Reverend Lowdown. But he's punishing you for not keeping your dog in check by taking the international a little bit.
I'm not sure how that's going to play out, but I tried to get some dirt from Sprague in the screening room about her relationship with Skelos, and she wouldn't budge. So
No, I would not.
she didn't budge for the record.
She is a good cast member.
Great cast
No, I
member.
will say, I mean, I love this job so much. And I love it. I hope everybody watches it, 'cause we all love making it. But there is, I know that, Detroit itself is a small place. The population has decreased. It is starting to increase as well. But, it's way less than 1 million people now in this massive city. And so all of these relationships are interconnected, which is great because you really see our writers starting to figure that. They knew from the beginning, but they, instead of revealing it in the beginning of the show, they're revealing it at the end, all these long histories that people have together. So everybody's got a history.
Oh.
I'll just say that.
All right, ... But then the ultimate betrayal comes from Reverend Lowdown's crew, namely that they're giving Damon to Frank as a potential killer of Brendan McCann.
Yeah, Lowdown's intense, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love him.
So he's
I
amazing.
love him.
He's an
Anytime
incredible
he's on,
actor.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Anytime
he's
on
actually
screen.
doing a play
Is he?
in LA right now. I believe, I want to say it's at the Getty. But I could figure it out, and I will let you all
Let
know.
us know.
I will
Yeah.
tweet it.
Because
Because he's an incredible actor.
he
and
is
a wonderful
the
person.
best.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
I do like how Frank shows. I'm sure there's some other tie relationship, but he just shows right up, and he just is like, "I need to talk to you, and you don't need to bring your boys." Like,
And
let's
your
just
name is
talk business.
Isaiah, not Reverend.
Yeah.
Like, I liked that, where he kind of was like, really, give me a break.
Long histories.
Yeah.
Long histories.
Well, and you guys know that Lowdown is actually based on a real person that lived in Detroit for many years,
I
whose
did
name was
not know
Reverend
this.
Lowdown.
Really?
Yes.
That's a rad name.
You know, with that,
true.
it's so funny. I literally just wrote down a question that kind of has to do with that. Was there, while you guys were filming this, was there any sense of, the real people, the real people in Detroit that were maybe doing things that you guys were doing in this show, being like, they're over there filming, making money off of our life, like, what's going on? You know what I mean? Like,
Actually, I think, in a lot of ways, this show is not a documentary about Detroit. And unfortunately, I think it should not come across that way, though I can understand why, because especially, like, we're offering insights into parts of Detroit life that haven't been seen before. And I think Detroit's story is amazing and it should be told. It's almost like we're telling, a Shakespearean play in the middle of this incredible setting. So, I didn't get any bad flack from any of the folks that came and worked on the show. We had a lot of locals coming to do background who were great people. And, Sam Bryce, who played Papa T, and Henri played AK. They are locals and fantastic actors. The girl who plays Joe's daughter, also a local fantastic actress. Sorry. they all seem to really enjoy the experience. I hope they've enjoyed watching it. I don't know. I don't think I'd know until we went back to really see how people would react to the show. But it is a fictional film noir, and that's what the original was as well. And so it is a heightened circumstance within an incredible location.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And James last week said something about how it's the natural nature of the show is that it's going to be a little bit exploitative, you know, of this sort of beautiful disaster that it is Detroit.
That's true.
Because it's a character in the story, and you're not going to Whole Foods and filming there, because that's not the character of
but
the
just,
city.
But time out, just to be clear too, I believe I heard you say this last night when we were hanging out.
You guys are friends?
Wait, you're saying this in public? I don't know. What did I say?
Yeah, you said
if it was
that-
about my
well,
husband, don't talk.
I won't.
All right.
But no,
Hi, honey.
like, just because we say Whole Foods and us being in LA, we think of something, but I feel like you said something like the Whole Foods is actually a Whole Foods give back store. So it's a very cheap store.
It's not
it's
cheap.
not
It's not
paycheck.
cheap. It's not like a give back store. Like, it's not like a charity. I don't want to throw it out there. It's a charity situation. But what it is, I will say, coming from LA, I don't shop at Whole Foods in LA. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I can't afford it.
Yeah.
Even like, I mean, I probably can, but it just
It's
is
not worth
insane
it.
to me how much. So I'll go in for specific things. Great, meats, great fish, things like that.
So for people that
But
are around
when
the
you-
country that don't know what Whole Foods is, should we tell them?
It's a very, very high-end natural food store.
Thank you.
However, so I do a lot of the Trader Joe's. But in Detroit, I went to the Whole Foods. There were sales everywhere. And then slowly over time, some of those sales came down. But I noticed even when I was buying things that weren't sale, I was still spending easily 2/3 of what I would spend in LA on the same thing.
So it's
And
subsidized.
as I was walking out, I asked one of the checkout girls, and Whole Foods itself has made a massive step towards being part of the community in Detroit and giving back and wanting to hear what everyone in Detroit was saying and selling local products and selling Michigan products. And like I said, there are tons of urban farms in Detroit now, just amazing stuff. And she said, well, as far as I know, I don't think they're expecting to have a profit really anytime soon. This is kind of, they wanted to show that a store like this could do well in Detroit. Like that, and in that way, I think it's a give back store.
Okay, yeah.
And
Got
that
it.
it's really showing that the community in Detroit wants this and wants all of these great new energies and new things to come into the city. I think the city's really open to being reborn.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like we're starting to kind of drift off topic.
Yeah,
I just
sorry.
want to say, does
We're good
anyone
at
have
that.
anything else regarding this episode that you would like to discuss before we move into kind of more of a general interview?
No,
All right.
I'm good.
I feel pretty secure on it. Okay.
It's good. I talk too much.
No, you
So
don't.
no, not at all. Sprague.
Yeah.
I want to know more about Maya's past with Sean. So he is an ex-cop. I personally believe, this isn't confirmed, but I'm pretty sure he's Frank's ex-partner, or at the very least they were close before he got kicked off the force. How does someone who is a cop's wife become so entrenched in this criminal element and get addicted to drugs?
I mean, it's is Maya an addict?
Maya's not an
Or
addict.
She's
Sean.
not. She's not an addict, but she's a user.
Yeah, she's a user. She
Yeah.
partakes. Okay, so I'm gonna see there are certain aspects of Sean and Maya's history that even I made up for my character that I kind of keep in my secret place to use, especially if hopefully we go back for season 2, knock on wood, and they give me a different background, and then I'll be like, what did I say in public?
Yeah.
But I do know certain things. We had this fantastic tech advisor named Ira Todd, who was an actual detective in Detroit and just is an amazing guy all around. And he would take us on kind of our own character tours of the city. And he took me on what he thought was his Maya tour. And he and Chris
Cool.
Mundy, one of our writers, our creator, had talked about it. I ended up going to Southwest Detroit, which is, there's a lot of cop bars. There's a Irish, Polish, there's a, that kind of community was there for many, many years now. A lot of places in Detroit aren't super segregated anymore because people have started to mingle, especially as the urban sprawl has, sprawled out and people have come in to be more focused. But he wanted to take me where young Maya would be, because he basically was like, I think you grew up with both. I think you grew up with the cop and with the criminal. And you made an early choice to go with the cop. Mm-hmm. And so I went to all the cop bars in Detroit, which was pretty amazing, with Ira, and started talking to a lot of young kids that were just in the academy and talking to other policemen in Detroit. And then Ira was like, and now I think we should go to this strip club, because I think you should talk to some of these ladies and see, like, some of these women are really businesswomen, and I think that's a side of Maya, and I think you should really see that as well. And so we went to this fantastic strip club with a variety of crew members. It was kind of a blast. But I ended up talking to so many incredible women who were coming from so many different walks of life, who were so open with their stories. And that is one of the things I will say, another thing about Detroit that was phenomenal about the people. They wanted us to know what their lives were like.
Right. They want you to tell their story.
Right.
And
they want you to get it right.
You know, and obviously we're telling a very fictional story. So there are certain parts we don't get right, I think, just because we are playing characters.
Right.
But there are certain things that are real, like, you know, when someone comes knocking on Frank's door about trying to move him, you know, because that's a real thing that's going on in Detroit. They want people to move out of their homes. They want to centralize them so that they can get them services earlier. But that also means that people have to leave homes that they've owned for years and years and years and years, or family homes or family neighborhoods. I mean, it's the dynamics of the situation are just absolutely wrenching, to be honest. But I think personally that Maya went down the cop road. And in some ways I see Maya as kind of an extension of what happened with my character in Sons of Anarchy with Donna.
Yeah.
Donna was trying to get back on the straight and narrow. And trying to get Opie on the straight and narrow, and wanted her family.
And you were shot in the truck.
I was. I was a brunette.
That just came to me right now. That was so upsetting.
I was a brunette.
I was heartbroken.
But there's a part of Donna, you know, if Donna could have turned around at some part and said, you know what, guys? How about this? Fuck you. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Screw you. I'm going to go off and I'm going to do what I want to do now. And I'm going to do what I need for just me, and put herself first.
And give her kids to her sister.
That's and that's a whole other thing about Maya. But that's kind of where Maya went. You know, I've played a lot of women whose main motivation is their family, and main motivation is keeping their family together. And Maya terrified me because that wasn't her motivation, but that's another story. Anyway, I feel that the cop thing didn't work out, and she went down the other road of what she knew. I think she grew up with both, and
yeah. Well, you can see the cop thing didn't really work out for Sean either.
Yeah.
No.
So it could have been like, it could have, from what you're saying, and I'm totally just projecting, I could be totally wrong, but like maybe you saw both, so you tried the cop thing, and it actually just led you right back to the other things. You were like, okay, well, it's all leads back to here, so why don't I get good at here?
There is no good and bad on this show.
Yeah.
That's just not the show it is, and that's not the world these people live in.
Right.
They live
Shades
in a world of gray. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then, speaking about yours and Sean's relationship.
Yeah.
Yours and
Yeah, I know. Whatever.
There's it comes.
You guys. My thing is did you give up on him? It's like you're last week you gave him drugs.
I did.
So and in that same episode you see Michael, you know, telling you that there's like a sober house. It could be, you know, especially after you guys exchange that flirt, you know. But it's almost like I was waiting for an emotion of some sort of like, I've already tried that or whatever, you know.
I think I personally think Maya doesn't tell anybody any information they don't need to know. And you will see more vulnerable sides of her slowly coming out. Most definitely in the next couple of episodes, where you really see what's going on and what's been bubbling up this entire time, and come out. But she's just not going to give out that kind of information about her emotional state in regards to Sean, especially not to Damon's best friend, as great as he is. I mean, I feel like Maya and Michael have known each other for many, many years too. That they've all known each other since like high school.
You don't need to say anything.
But I think Sean's. I don't think it would be giving away too much to say I think Sean's tried to get clean. I think that this is something that's happened back and forth. I mean, if to anyone who's had a real addict in their life, there's a point where not only is it that somebody has to want to get help, but there's also a point where when you have to give up a little bit on them to survive, and when you do that, part of your heart dies. And I think that Maya has a very special place in her soul for Sean that's still there, and I don't think she was manipulating him by giving him drugs. I think it was a pity moment. It was you're in absolute pain, and this will get you out of pain, even if it's for 10 minutes.
There's a saying that I'm familiar with that says addicts don't have relationships, they take hostages. And I feel like Maya is kind of Sean's hostage. She's a hostage to a lot of men, it seems like, in different power positions. Whatever those relationships are.
Yeah, it's interesting.
We don't know because she doesn't tell us. She doesn't give anything away.
No, and she's surviving the situation. But Sean has a special... She breaks down a little bit more in front of Sean than she does in front of anyone else. And I think you can... I hope you can see it in the performance. I know with Maya, I hold a lot back.
I feel like she still loves him in a strong way. I mean, or at least that's what I got. I got that she still loves him, not necessarily more than Damon, but in a very, very different way, and one that I think is far more tender and is still hurting from how things shook out.
Right.
I think Sean was the first love of her life, and Damon is her best friend.
Who's gonna ask the hot dog question?
I am.
Okay. Hot dog question.
I should have
kind of the ramp up to this question got kind of spoiled, but I'm about to drop an earth-shattering question that the whole fate of the world lies upon your answer to. American or Lafayette?
Okay, this is gonna be terrible. So do you know the story about the pilot rap party?
No, we don't.
Tell us.
Share this story.
Okay, so the pilot rap party was very generously thrown for us by, I believe, Endemol and AMC, and it was in a club around the corner from the hotel we were staying in. Great club. We all had a fabulous time, and then we walked home a little tipsy, and so many members of the crew and the cast went running to the American and Lafayette places because they're right next to each other and they're on the way home. And Athena and I both looked and we were like, can we do it? And then we were like, no, we can't do that right now. so
you didn't
that night, I did not have the American or Lafayette experience.
And you never went back.
I didn't. I'm a bad, like, I will tell you, amazing.
You and James
but wait,
both.
Listen, I will tell you that they make this amazing maple bacon bourbon drink at Cliff Bell's, which is like, I dream about that drink at night now.
Awesome.
And, I went to so many fantastic restaurants in Detroit. Mudgie's restaurant for the best sandwiches you've ever had. Just absolutely incredible.
Okay.
But yeah, I didn't have a hot dog.
All right, well,
Sorry.
James is a vegetarian. You just never had it.
He's a vegetarian that lives off combos. And I hope he's watching. Because it's true. James' version of vegetarian is he would like go down the line at lunch and there's all this amazing food because we had this incredible crafty. And James would come back with just a big bowl of Caesar salad and literally have all the cheese that was on the entire Caesar salad.
Jeez.
And just take it all. He's a veggie, but he's an indulgent veggie.
Nicola said Lafayette. He said Lafayette.
Well, Nicola knows, really well.
He's from the area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a Costco hot dog girl, personally.
Hey, the Costco hot dogs and the Costco pizza are two of the greatest American inventions, bar none.
Right?
Yeah. Take that, traffic light. Well, it's an American invention. I think that Costco pizza is better because
Traffic light.
What was the traffic light?
the traffic light and the cotton gin are both American inventions.
Oh, thank you.
I'm just saying.
Historian Matthew.
Yeah.
Again, surprising me every week.
That was really good.
Oh.
Exactly. The more you
Maya,
know.
I wanted to ask Sprague you a question. Your hair seems to be getting bigger and bigger.
Yes.
Is this a character development?
Well, in episode 6, you do. she has just, come back with the car at the top of that
Right.
episode. So, and we're cleaning out the car. So that hair level is there. The rest of it, what happened was, it just got really hot in Detroit. Like, really, really hot. And I have very kind of, like, flat, not good actressy hair. So I have the evolution of my hair pics, and I feel like I should probably post them after this, of our fantastic hair guy, John, doing how to keep my hair have any sense of body during a 12-hour shoot. We would blow dry it into curlers, leave the curlers, tease it up, then like roll it back into a Downton Abbey kind of thing that I rehearsed in, and then take it out. And it just, I think the fear of it sticking to my neck and all kinds of like unhappy places just made it get bigger and bigger. But it is,
Her hair is ballooning out of fear.
How long
Aquanet.
is your hair? How unhappy
I
should the
didn't
places
know.
be?
It's just hot. It was just
Okay.
really hot. I have noticed particularly how large it's getting, and I'm
Yeah.
kind of like,
You did. You said it
I'll
earlier.
just accept
It was
it.
really funny.
Like, I think I'll just accept it and roll with it.
yeah.
It's cool. Maybe Maya's confidence rises with her
Yeah.
hair.
You know,
I don't know.
mine does.
Hey, your hair could be your Samson hair. We've had a discussion on here that Mark Strong's nose is his Samson hair. Like if you were to cut off his nose,
Oh, that would be bad.
He'd have no power.
He'd have no strength. So maybe your hair is actually your Samson hair. Your
Oh,
Samson
Mark's
hair
pretty
is your
strong.
hair.
He boxed the whole time we were there.
Damn. So
He was
he
in
actually
training.
has a boxing background.
So Mark
He does
Strong
now,
is
yeah.
strong.
Dum-dum.
He is. He's an absolute class act.
Yeah.
Actually, he's very much a classy Brit.
Speaking of class acts, I'm going to totally interrupt you from reading your prepared questions and ask you about Jericho, because you
Okay.
worked with Lenny James
I
on
did.
that show. I was not a fan. I didn't watch it. I'm sorry. But
You are a dork.
I'm a huge fan of this show. Did you guys become best friends? I'm like picturing you guys texting and tweeting each other. You're on the same set again. I don't know if you have had any scenes together.
I've been lucky enough to know Lenny about
They
7
did
or
have
8
a scene
years.
together. Back in
did.
episode 2.
We had a scene
Forgive
together
me
in
for
episode
forgetting.
2. It was actually very exciting for both of us because it was only the second scene we had ever done together. Because a joke on Jericho was that we only had one scene together.
Oh, wow.
And I was actually terrified when we had the scene on Jericho. I was really young and kind of like afraid of him because I thought he was so awesome. No, I love Lenny to death. I love his kids. I love his wife. I love his whole family. They're freaking amazing. And Lenny, he's just one of those guys that takes people under his wing and becomes a family member. That's just who he is.
So is he your bro now?
He's always been kind of my bro. He's like definitely the older bro. I mean, I will say when we did the read through for episode 2, and before we really knew anything, and he had that moment in the read through, and he's like, "Yeah, it used to be." I walked out, and one of the writers was like, "So, what do you think that's gonna blow into? Like, you guys like used to make out?" And I was like, "That is not cool. That is not gonna happen, and you are not gonna write that down. No." And he was like, "Well," I'm like, "I'm not kissing my older brother. That's freaking weird." So I definitely do have that relationship with him. But he's kind to everybody. He really is like the coolest person.
That's great.
Yeah.
He's a cool cat.
That's kind of interesting to see, because I mean I knew you when you were in Jericho.
Yeah,
We made those T-shirts,
we did.
and it must be interesting because so many actors. I'm sure. I mean, I'm totally making this up, but like you work on something and then you go out and experience these different things, and then to come back, years later, and work on something again must be like kind of exciting.
It was really exciting. I love working with Lenny. I would do it all the time if I could. He is just a fantastic person to have in your theater troupe, for lack of a better way of putting it, because that's really how our show was. We all just really got along that kind of way, and it was a very supportive group. But also, Jericho was like that.
Yeah.
They've kept us working. We've all
I was
worked
just
for
gonna say,
them
it
along
seems
the
like
way.
it's similar type of show. Not that the shows are the
Yeah.
same
Oh, you
at
mean
all.
Okay.
you mean in the group dynamic on
Yes.
how well we got along?
Yes. Like
yes.
it seemed like I remember you being super pumped about your cast then.
Yeah.
And like knowing you've been on other stuff, you know what I mean? And there's like a family that was there that seems to be a similar family of what this show
That's
is.
definitely true. On Jericho, everybody took care of each other, and we still check in. Some people are really, really close, but we all still seem to check in with each other. And many of the writers and producers from that show have kept me working. Thank you guys. but so yeah, it was really exciting. I actually called Lenny when I first got the job, and I was like, "I'm on your show," and he was like, "Okay, great." He likes to make fun of me. He's pretty great.
Yeah, well,
Do you have a favorite moment over the course of shooting, or like a favorite scene, or just like a favorite day?
yes, but I can't tell you. No, I'm just kidding.
I can say without saying. I mean, I know next week is the Emmys, and I hope people will still be able to tune in. At least DVR for episode 7, because episode 7 is truly spectacular. And there's a scene that I have in there where Maya, she really starts. You actually start to know who she is, and that was probably one of the hardest and one of the best scenes I had. I mean, we had a really Catherine Hardwicke was directing, and
Oh wow.
she was really great, and she also likes to move very fast, but she does it with a lot of confidence. And we did my side of that scene, and she was just like, "Okay, good, you're ready to go." Like, that was one take, and I was like, "Are you sure?" I don't know. Shouldn't we do it again? And we ended up doing one more time, but she was totally right. It was just kind of one of those magical moments where that also only really happen if you're confident enough in your work because the people around you are being supportive.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I don't want to tell you what happens, though.
Okay. Well, Emmys or not, we'll be here.
And slapping each other was fun. We had fun with that.
Yeah.
That was good.
Sweet. All right. You have any more questions?
One other thing that I kind of I feel like we might know that it might kind of be a rhetorical question, but not really. But we know survival is Maya's drive, but
I think, yeah.
you think it is survival, or is there something else? Like clearly you're not trying to do this stuff to be a better mom. You know what I mean? Like clearly there's not a.
I think that mom thing's a little bit more complicated, and you will find out that it's more complicated along the way.
Okay.
Can I ask one question about that? And it's just a simple yes or no. Did she want to be a mom? Do you think she wanted to be a mom?
I'm gonna reserve the right to not answer that. Because I actually think that's
Leading.
it's just too much information regarding that relationship as well. Okay. I mean, I do think one of the things that I think is very interesting that I don't know if people are noticing is actually how old her kids are.
Oh yeah.
They're not old.
No.
They're pretty young, which means
Who's
whatever happened with Sean did not happen that long ago.
Okay.
Right.
So that's also very interesting.
Well, and
Yeah,
his
that she's-
name's still on the deed of the place. It seemed that's what made me
And that
think.
she's so
actually,
in deep with
it's
Damon.
not his name; it's her name. It's Maya's bar.
Yeah.
But
His
isn't
name
his
got
name-
got taken off the list.
That was part of the scene.
Yeah.
Can I interrupt you for a second?
Yeah.
And Marissa asked to turn the AC down because I can't feel my hands. Okay.
So cold
Just
over
had to
here.
get this.
But I'm sorry, you had the question about survival. I think Maya went through a really, really, really rough time with Sean. I think she had a really, really rough time in her early kind of, probably want to say 20s, mid-20s. And her response is to have a really great time now and do what she wants. And it is so much fun to play. I can't even tell you. Because so many strong women characters that you play, and they're great too. I think it's fantastic to have great role models as characters as well. But, they're always trying to right the wrongs and
Right.
be better and protect their families. I mean, even Olivia on 24, I was avenging my brother. It was a whole different thing. There's always that motivation of family. And when actually originally, I think I can say this, during the pilot that we took pictures with me and a different ex-husband, and I was supposed to have my kids with me. They were supposed to live with me and Damon. And when we got picked up, Chris called me, our creator, and we had a conversation about Maya's new backstory. And he was like, "Oh yeah, you don't have your kids anymore." And I was like, "What?"
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, "Yeah, they're at your sister's. I'm not going to get into the specifics of why, but they're not in your life." And I was like, "Is getting them back my big priority?" He's like, "Not that we see." Doesn't mean it's not happening, but it's not that we see. And so I really had to reevaluate how I was playing her. It was a completely big change, and it was actually kind of terrifying because I'd always played these characters that were motivated by family, and it was something I really understood. So I had to really figure out a new way to play Maya and where she was coming from. So it's pretty awesome, though. I love that there's a woman out there that's having a great time.
And we need to support you and make sure that we tell our friends to watch the show because I really want to see a season 2.
Yeah,
Me too.
And I want to keep you employed, but I really just want to watch it
Thank you. I want to be employed too.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
I just want to make sure we're only halfway through and I'm starting to have anxiety about an ending.
It does end fantastic. I will tell you that.
Wait,
it is
time
a
out.
killer ending.
All right, maybe I can just let it go.
What?
But
No,
still,
she's not letting it go.
It's with that motivation. So her motivation or her drive is just to have a good time. You think?
No, it's not to have a good time. It's that
you know, because that's
her life. In my mind, though, this may also change because what happens when you're on a television show is that you're only given a certain amount of information about characters most of the time. I can't speak for every show, but that you slowly find out new information about your character as episodes come in and that you have to evolve with that information. It used to drive me crazy because I always used to think, oh, I need to know everything. But Lenny James, a very good Lenny quote is, no, I don't want to know. It makes me a better liar. Which is really fantastic. And I personally think Maya has been through massive amounts of pain, specifically with the Sean situation. I think that there are layers to peel back in that relationship that are just going to get hinted on in future with this show, at least for right now. But I think that there's some seriously intense shit there.
I have to say that you play it very well.
Oh, thank you.
Maya looks like she's just been through it all.
Yeah.
But she's still beautiful, but she looks tired. I mean, the way that you play it, I don't know how you convey that emotionality, what your secrets are, but you're doing it well.
Well, thank you. Because I do think that that's part of her. So I think, I don't think her motivation is to have a good time, but I think her motivation is freedom on a certain level.
That makes sense.
And I'm totally okay with that. And I think it's actually fantastic because on other shows, when your motivation is to constantly take care of other people, you get shot in the head.
It's exhausting.
Yeah.
Which was still a great death scene. And I love that job. And I love Donna. And I thought it was a great... Right. I actually thought it was an important way for her to go story-wise. Yeah. But I love that Maya's fighting for herself, but she's also fighting for her freedom. Because I don't think she was ever given it as a young person. I think she was forced. I think she grew up in a neighborhood where she was expected to act a certain way. She could have gone cop. She could have gone criminal. Didn't really matter, though. She ended up going cop. Didn't work out. Now she's criminal. But it's a different relationship than probably the one she had with Sean.
Totally. Yeah.
Because Damon and Maya are equals, and they're partners.
Yeah.
And I think Sean may have been maybe more absent.
Yeah, or maybe an older kind of mentor figure. I don't know actually. Yeah. I mean, I think that's something we'll figure out along the way. I think Maya was definitely much younger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know.
All right.
So does that kind of answer it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I love Maya. I could talk about her all day.
No, well, because I do you go to motivation. Like with a woman, you tend to go to motivation. Where is it? Is it family? Is it children? Is it supporting the family? Like you go to all that, but then with the bar, I think it's a complicated.
I think with women and men, and this has always been a way that I saw the world, and I could be 100% wrong on this, but I feel like when we're young, we're taught as women to take care of the world around us first so that then we can take care of ourselves, and that men are taught to take care of themselves first so then they can take care of the world around them. And Maya is taking care of the people in her group, but she's also always taking care of herself at the same time. Nobody comes before her. Unapologetically.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is what I love about her.
That's great.
Yeah, she's strong.
Unfortunately, we're running out of time,
Yeah,
so
sorry.
I'm just going to launch into predictions. Thank you so much, Sprague.
And now,
Oh my God.
AfterBuzz TV
Predictions. Okay, Oriana Leo, what do you think's happening next week?
Oh my gosh. I always forget as soon as you ask me, like, everything that I thought was going to happen. So I'm
Flies out the window.
Yeah, like the fly we have in our studio. I just say, go past me, because I can't, I don't know. It's just going to keep getting better, and I'm going to get more and more nervous, clenching my pen and biting the tip, because it's so exciting.
Okay. Steph Z.
I think we're gonna find out more. I feel like the puzzle that I was trying to put together in the beginning, that's what's spinning in my head, that there's this more intertwinedness, like the blurriness, we're coming a little bit clearer.
Yeah.
Clearly we're gonna find out more about Maya. I predict that next Sunday night, when you're all watching Low Winter Sun and not the Emmys, you're gonna see Sprague Grayden do some amazing acting. That's what I predict.
What's the
Let's hope so.
What's sorry, but this is a stupid aside, but like, what's the point in watching award shows in the age of Twitter and YouTube? Because I can watch any funny bit from the opening after the show, and if I want to know anyone who won, someone will tweet it or post it online.
Well, you're not getting invited to the Emmys.
To see
now.
the outfits.
You know what? I don't need to get invited to the Emmys, okay? Because I'll be at home watching Low Winter Sun and watching all the actors kick some butt.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see at least 3 big scenes next week. We're going to get another great verbal smackdown between Frank and Joe over the Katya situation, and just how much did Joe have planned. There is a fly in here.
A big one.
Wait, you think Frank is actually gonna tell Joe that he went and found Katya?
Oh, totally. Well, you saw it in the thing. He pulls a gun on Joe.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah, but I feel like that's because he knows he was set up. I don't think that he's gonna let him know how he knows he was set up.
I don't think he's gonna. He might not admit that he actually found her, but that I know you set me up and that I was a mark.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think he's gonna go to the I walked down the street and
saw
talked to her and found
her.
her, and I thought she was really gonna leave with me.
We're doing the best Mark Strong impressions.
It's pretty good.
Thank you.
I'll tell you. I think Mark would be appreciative.
We've got an awesome scene coming with Maya, and then we've also got Damon's gonna get brought into the station. He's gonna get interrogated. And I think that's gonna be rad.
I think Danny's gonna find more information out too.
Yes, and also I
Soon
remember
gotta put it together.
Danny, but also the dribbler, Smarmalade.
Yeah.
He's gonna have to come back in IA and drop a bombshell.
Who's Smarmalade?
It's
Boyd.
Boyd. He's
Oh,
so,
David?
Yeah. He's so smarmy that it's so thick you could just spread it on toast.
Yeah.
You know,
He's
Smarmalade.
so good.
Yeah.
He's fantastic.
Okay. I just want to thank you again, Sprague, for coming
Yeah,
in. You were
thank you.
Amazing
guest.
guest.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yay.
And
It was fun.
where
good
can
time.
the people find you?
Where can the people find me?
Where can the people find you?
I'm on Twitter
Okay.
at Sprague G. I don't write enough, but I've been working on it, writing more.
Cool.
And I like to put up pictures of my dog, so that's cool.
All right.
And random things I come across in America, like chocolate covered bacon.
All right.
Word.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Steph Z, where can the people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at IAMSTEFZ.
Okay.
Was that how should I spelled it?
You can spell
At
yours.
SPRAGUEG.
Word.
Okay.
Word.
Oriana.
My name is Oriana Leo, and you can find me on Twitter at Miss Oriana Leo or my blog, BeTheBestGuest.com.
Okay, and you can find me on Twitter at Matt Lieberman. That's MattLieberman. You can also find me here on AfterBuzz TV on the Breaking Bad, Under the Dome, Sons of Anarchy, and Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. after
How was that premiere?
It
Sons
was
was
pretty
crazy.
epic. Yeah.
Yeah, it was epic.
And I'll tell you, we're hoping to get it.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff. We would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.